Welcome back to Views with Hughes, your agenda for news. This is Jerome Hughes, and the story of the hour. We got more about this whole woke Ray move that's coming up. So we're going to go ahead and get right into this story. So Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy, you know, that director who says that she wants to make men uncomfortable and everything. Well, basically, she's more on this back in the spotlight and trying to do a little more self-insert, if you will. Okay, so when it comes to Disney Star Wars, we've seen one Disney Star Wars woke cringe failure after another, and it's like they can't get anything right, okay? So Star Wars fans who used to be so passionate and hopeful have pretty much given up on the idea that the franchise itself can be saved. Now, right now, we're seeing a total disaster with The Acolyte, a project led by Leslie Hetland with the guidance of Kathleen Kennedy, okay? And not to mention, Leslie Hetland is what used to work as Harvey Weinstein's personal assistant. But as bad as that is, there's even bigger potential train wreck on the horizon. And I'm talking about the Ray movie directed by activist Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy. Okay. Now, think back just a few hours ago into like 2024, with Disney Star Wars found itself in a huge controversy. And in a New Year's interview on CNN, Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy said, "You know what? It's about time we had a woman to tell to tell stories in the Star Wars universe, as if we haven't seen what's been happening over the past decade." Now, it felt like she was ignoring all the female-led stories we've already had. And then people dug up some old clips and interviews, myself included, of Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy, where she talked about how every cringe movie Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy makes is about marginalized people and how she wants to teach men a lesson. Now, Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy even says she enjoys making men feel uncomfortable. Given all that, it seemed like she was the perfect fit for Lucasfilm, at least in the eyes of Kathleen Kennedy. Okay, so here we are at looking at a franchise that used to be a gold standard of sci-fi and adventure. Now, stumbling on one woke cringe controversy to the next, fans are tired, frustrated, and even just plain fed up. Now, the fans want the Star Wars they fell in love with and not what Disney Star Wars has to offer, but it seems like that's just getting further and further away from each new project. Now, some folks out there thinking there's no way Disney Star Wars could actually go through with this, right? Well, let me tell you, according to Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy herself, Kathleen Kennedy and everyone at Lucasfilm is actually full speed ahead. And Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy and Kathleen Kennedy are all in on Rey Skywalker. Now, remember when Rey decided to call herself a Skywalker at the end of the movie of The Rise of Skywalker, and everyone in the theater let out a big groan and no, F you Star Wars. Yeah, they're doubling down on that character and that name of Rey Skywalker, ignoring all the fans who weren't happy about it in the first place. Now, in a recent interview, Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy didn't hold back. And Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy basically stating that she's not interested in listening to fans and stuff. She wants to continue making the movie. Now, ignoring the fans who've supported Star Wars for decades, that's been a real winning strategy for Disney Star Wars so far, right? And looks like Kathleen Kennedy and Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy are just going to keep on with that approach regardless of what the fans think. Now, Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy also explained why she's ignoring the fan opinions until the film is done. And I'm going to play the interview for you all about that.
As you walk in the footsteps of people and giants who've created worlds, and in the case of Star Wars, George Lucas's world and the filmmakers that have walked in his footsteps have set this world that they want young viewers to sort of walk into and have an understanding of the world. And at the heart of it, for me, is Rey Skywalker, is Daisy Ridley and her story, and taking her on an adventure to a Jedi Academy and sort of creating a world that is a natural dovetail to the story that we've seen her go through the last 3 episodes, and working with Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy and the team over there in breathing life to characters that everyone loves and has fallen in love with, and finding new characters that the next generation of moviegoers will fall in love with. I've had conversations with J.J. Abrams. I've had conversations with George Lucas, and then of course Dave Filoni, who's a big part of the Star Wars universe now. We speak very often, and Kath Kathy Kennedy and Carrie Beck and Simon Emanuel. I mean, I think the team is really taking time to make sure that we do justice to telling the story of Daisy, and I think that she stands for something. We've seen this wonderful journey she went on in episode 7, 8, and 9, and now it's like on to the next adventure. And how do we create a world and the adventure that we take her on?
Yeah, that itself is going to be a massive failure. So y'all just saw here on that recent interview where, and Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy didn't hold back. Now, Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy said, "I'm not interested in listening to those fans. I'm focused on making the movie I want to make, ignoring the fans who supported the Star Wars for decades." That's a real winning strategy for Disney Star Wars so far, right? And it looks like Kathleen Kennedy and Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy are just going to keep up with it. Now, Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy also explained why she's ignoring the fan opinions and stuff until the film is done. And Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy basically said that the best thing about Star Wars is that everyone feels personally connected to it. Fans are incredibly passionate and have a strong ideas about who should direct the movies on what the story should be about. But I'm tuning out those voices until I'm finished. As a storyteller, my focus is on attracting new moviegoers to the cinema while also bringing in a sense of nostalgia that will appeal to the older fans of the series. So basically, Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy is saying that she got her own vision, and with throwing a few bits out there saying, well, I got these things for the older fans and everything, and she doesn't want to have any fan input messing with it until she's done. That's going to be a rude awakening for her. And Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy is basically saying to all you passionate fans and dedicated fans out there who have been spot on about the direction Disney has been taking with Disney Star Wars, I've got to be honest. I'm not interested in those opinions right now. I'm tuning out those voices until I get to tell the story I have in mind. Now, let's talk about Disney's strategy of trying to bring in new people into theaters. How has that been working out for Disney Star Wars? Not too great if you ask me, and the younger generation is less interested in Star Wars, especially Disney Star Wars, than almost any other popular franchise out there. And it's been a total flop, despite Disney's efforts to pretty much say, forget you to all the longtime fans. They thought they could just dangle some nostalgic bits in front of us and maybe throw in some old characters, but the main focus was always to appeal to the younger crowd. And also that's where they put in the whole woke cringe in these different shows and movies. And clearly that hasn't been working out well at all. Now, moving on here, Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy is basically talking about people she's collaborating with, even throwing the name drop of George Lucas, even though I don't believe that. But if you pay attention, you can see who really holds the influence of Lucasfilm based on her response. And the fact of the matter, it's like she made a whole point that the most important thing to her is Rey as a female Jedi. And she's really excited to bring out her experiences as a woman in Rey's story. So brace yourselves for more woke cringe moments ahead. Now, some people always make excuses for Dave Filoni, and even if he's involved in projects that don't turn out well, they claim that Dave Filoni is a genius, but I've always thought he was overrated. I've been saying that for a while now. He's not good as people think. Now, as for Rey Skywalker, I don't think many people are excited to see Rey rebuilding the Jedi Academy and succeeding where Luke Skywalker failed. They made Luke Skywalker look like the biggest loser in the galaxy, and now they're giving his heroic story to Rey. And some folks try to deceive fans by saying the Acolyte was just a showreel, never actually filmed and secretly canceled. They're spreading similar rumors about this movie too, but guess what? I don't even buy that. And let's not forget that Lucasfilm has a history of canceling projects, even ones they've announced and promoted. However, I do feel they're committed to this one, and they actually hired Daisy Ridley, and she even got up on stage at the Star Wars celebration earlier this year to talk about it. And with all these movies, it's also clear that they're serious about making this whole woke cringe movie happen. And if you think Lucasfilm isn't putting the effort out there to make this movie work, then you're fooling yourself. They've actually dedicated to actually figuring it out, and it's a top priority for them. And showing even more clearly how Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy and Kathleen Kennedy just don't care about what the fans think. That's the part I find the most interesting. Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy and Kathleen Kennedy completely ignoring the opinions of fans and keep putting out their woke cringe. And now the fans are the people who actually know the details, who follow Star Wars for years and decades and who care about the story deeply and the characters themselves. But instead of listening to the fans, Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy and Kathleen Kennedy are basically deciding to push forward with their own ideas, making Star Wars into the woke cringe that Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy and Kathleen Kennedy personally want, without any regard to how the fans think or how they feel or the fans' input. And it's also pretty obvious that this approach has worked out for Lucasfilm, has it? So let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Also, be sure to include any additional thoughts you might have on this particular topic. If you enjoyed what I said in this video, go ahead, smash the like button, and share far wide across social media. And if you haven't done so already, and you enjoyed all the content that I put out there, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, click the bell notification, so that way you'll be notified of future uploads and updates. Till then, peace.